Recessions can adversely impact Social Security's long-term financial health 3 different ways. First, the payroll tax revenue, it may be affected. The payroll tax brings in most of the program's revenue, and during recessions, it's not uncommon for the unemployment rate to rise and for workers to lose the wage guard bargaining power. If a recession adversely impacts payroll tax collection, it can accelerate the timeline to reduce the benefits. That means less people will be getting stimulus checks. Now folks, here's the most important stimulus, Social Security news, and stimulus information that you want. Continue watching this video so you don't miss out on this. Current inflation rate, economists are expecting that Social Security checks will only increase a small amount next year. This is a big issue as millions of Americans rely on the program. Democrats are meeting and trying to come up with ways to prevent a drastic decrease in monthly benefits. For most retired Americans though, Social Security isn't just some check that comes in the mail or is deposited into their checking account once monthly. Rather, it's a vital source of income that helps seniors make ends meet. The program is responsible for pulling nearly 22 million people out of poverty each year, 16 million of which are adults ages 65 and up. And since 2002, at least 80% of surveyed retirees have told the National Pollster that Social Security benefit is a major or minor source of income. And because of the important role Social Security plays in the financial well-being of seniors during retirement, there's arguably no more event more than anticipated in the program's annual COLA during the second week of October every single year. Social Security's COLA is the raise that the program passes along to beneficiaries most years to account for inflation. The rising price of goods and services, raises in quotation marks to represent that this is an increase in benefits designed to match the rate of inflation and not to outpace it, which can happen with a more traditional raise from an employer. The program has had a consistent inflationary tether with the CPIW. CPIW was a handful measure that spending categories and list of subcategories last year. These weighings are what allows the cost of living adjustment to be calculated, and Social Security's COLA for the current year is historically high. This 8.7% increase has received the biggest year-over-year percentage increase in benefits in 41 years. The average retiree enjoyed a yearly $150 increase to the monthly Social Security check in 2023, but a roughly 2 to 3% COLA would equate to a more modest $37 to $55 boost per check, and based on a report released last year, the purchasing power for a Social Security dollar has declined by an almost 40% since 2000. What $100 in Social Security income could buy in 2000 now can buy only $60 worth in today's economy. And currently, lawmakers in the U.S. are considering changes to this entitlement program just to make sure things can go well for the people. Now, currently, people can retire as early as 62 and receive the benefits earlier than that. But what's important to note is that not until age 70 that the highest amount of benefits are awarded for the delayed
8 million new jobs.
What are your thoughts on this, everybody? Do you think that President Biden should do more for the American people and send out stimulus checks sooner than later? Tell me what you think in the comments below. A $2,000 Ford stimulus check, there's a big update on that. Lawmakers are considering a bill that would send more one-time relief payments to millions of people. This would be a huge boost to many people. California lawmakers could soon push a one-time California child tax credit to low-income families. This will be a measure supporters say will help families and children living in poverty. And there's a bill that was introduced, and the legislation would utilize the state's budget surplus to provide a one-time $2,000 California child tax credit per child, ages 17 and younger to families that earn $30,000 or less. And under this bill, a family with children ages 0 to 5 could receive $3,000 per child, $1,000 of which would come from the state's existing child tax credit. After Congress did not pass an extension of the expanded child tax credit, Biden administration's American Rescue Plan, the child tax credit was extended from $2,000 to $3,600 per dependent. Now, many people are saying this bill is going to be a game changer. Supporters of the bill told lawmakers that more than 100,000 California families with children and half of workers without children currently receive a California earned income tax credit of less than $100. Advocates have said that increasing tax credits is one of the most effective ways of defeating poverty. Here's some news on inflation, everybody. Jerome Powell emphasized his resolve to get inflation down, saying he will back interest rate increases until prices start falling back toward a healthy level. During an interview with the Wall Street Journal, Powell said if that involves moving past broadly understood levels of neutral, we won't hesitate to do that. We will go until we feel we're at a place where we can say financial conditions are in an appropriate place. Earlier this month, the Fed raised benchmark borrowing rates by half a percentage point, the second increase of 2022, as inflation runs a 40-year high. Powell said Following that increase, that's similar 50 basis points, moves were likely to come at ensuing meetings, so long as economic conditions remain similar to where they are now. Powell repeated his commitments to getting inflation closer to the Fed's 2% target and cautioned that it might not be easy. He also said that it will come at the expense of a 3.6% unemployment rate that is just above the lowest level since the 60s. The U.S. economy saw growth contract at a 1.4% pace in the first quarter of 2022, but tighter monetary policies has added to concerns about a steeper downturn and has sparked criticism. In addition to the 75 basis points in interest rate hikes, the Fed has also halted its
main mission, so they couldn't get the IRS the information it needed to send out checks. But thanks to some legal wrangling, that's been worked out. One group left out of this good news: VA beneficiaries. The IRS says it's continuing to review data it has on people who get veterans benefits but don't file a tax return. The IRS does expect to come up with a payment date soon, hopefully around...
Folks, let's go over the most important stimulus check information first. I'm not going to waste any more of your time, so here it is.
Well, I think that what will likely happen tomorrow, Anderson, I can't be sure, is that the bipartisan infrastructure bill will not succeed. And that's what I think is the right thing, and I support the progressives in the House for doing that. And the reason for that is that what the president campaigned on, what the president wants, what the American people want, what 95% of the members of the Democratic caucus in the House and the Senate want, are two major pieces of legislation. And that is to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure, very important.
Lawmakers have only 2 weeks now to lift or raise or suspend the debt limit and prevent an economic disaster. But Senate Republicans are refusing to help Democrats get it done. Today, President Biden called them hypocritical, dangerous, and disgraceful.
Republicans in Congress raised the debt 3 times when Donald Trump was president, and each time with Democrat support. But now they won't raise it. Meteor is headed to crash into our economy. In the days ahead, even before the default date, people may see the value of their retirement accounts shrink. They may see interest rates go up, which will ultimately raise their mortgage payments and car payments. And the American people, look, I just say it this way. As soon as this week, your savings and your pocketbook could be directly impacted by this Republican stunt. It's as simple as that. Republicans say they will not do their part to avoid this needless calamity. So be it. But they need to stop playing Russian roulette with the U.S. economy. It's one thing to pay our debts already acquired. It's another to require a supermajority to pay the debts already acquired. It's not right. Let the